Hey guys, I pulled my stitches out last night and decided to get back on the bike today. It's been, 11 days since I rode, and man, I'll tell you, it's really depressing not riding. But I'm happy to be back on the bike again, and I want to do a little moto vlog here today. And first off, as some of you guys know, if you saw my last video, I plastic dipped my fuel cap. And I want to let you guys know that you want to make sure not to get gas on it. If you get gas on it, it'll probably leave a mark. So that's why I made this here. I actually took some wax paper and put wax paper over here over the gas cap. Did a drawing. Copied the outline of it, put it on some cardboard, cut a piece of cardboard out, and also copied the center of the fuel cap, cut the center out of the cardboard, and I came up with this and wrapped some duct tape around it, and then cut the center part in here. So that way, when I go to the gas station, if I open this up here, just put this over here like that, bada boom, bada bang, baby. You don't have no problems. Protects the plastic dip finish. Then when you're done, just put it back in the trunk, and you're good to go. But yeah, in this moto vlog, I basically wanted to discuss about which type of motorcycle is best suited for you. And when I'm talking about type of motorcycle, I'm talking about whether it be a super sport, a dual sport, a cruiser, a touring bike, a dirt bike. You get my point. Because I get a lot of comments from you guys asking me, what bike should you get? You know, what's the best motorcycle to get for you guys? And you know, I can't really help you. I'm just going to give you some information on each one, but you really have to decide what's the best preference for you, and you're going to have to do that yourself. It's not something that I can tell you. You know, it's something that you need to find out for yourself. So hey, let's do the moto vlog here. Let's get popping here. Ah, man, I gotta be careful. I use my index finger to shift, and boy, I can feel the pain. Alright, let's get to the moto vlog here. Alright, so you got all your different type of motorcycles that I named earlier, and I'm going to compare them to this bike, this Super Sport here, and Super Sports in general, to kind of give you an idea of, say, we'll start it off with a cruiser compared to a Super Sport. First off, with a cruiser, most times they're going to be a lot heavier. They're going to be at least probably about 100 pounds heavier. And usually they're nowhere near as fast as a Super Sport. And also, you're not getting the wind protection from the fairings and on the windscreen. Sometimes you can add a windscreen to some of the cruisers. But for the most part, they don't have a windscreen on them. So you're not going to get the protection from the wind, especially when you're on the highway. You know, you're going to get the full blast of wind. A lot of times that doesn't really bother a lot of people. Sometimes it bothers certain people. So it's up to you to make that decision. And also you're going to be in a more upright seating position compared to the Super Sport. You're going to be, some people like it, some people don't. Personally, I don't like a more upright seating position. I had a scooter that was in a completely upright seating position, and actually it just was kind of irritating. Not only that, the full blast of wind was irritating, but yeah, I mean, if I sit in a chair for too long, I get irritated. But for some reason, when I'm in a more forward position on my bike, it doesn't, like on this bike, you know, it has a little bit more forward seating position. It's like a bicycle. And it doesn't affect my back or anything. It doesn't irritate me at all. It's very comfortable for me. But what's comfortable for me may not be comfortable for you. But what's cool about this particular bike, the CBR 600RR, at least this 2008, 2007 and newer, is you can actually sit upright, completely upright. I take my left hand off and sit up closer to the tank, and I'm a completely upright seating position. So, in my opinion, you really get like the best of both worlds, at least on this bike. I don't know about the other super sports. But, yeah, back to the Cruiser, you're getting this upright seating position, but you're getting a heavier bike. It's not going to handle as great as like this bike. You're not going to be able to flick it around like you can with this bike. Means cruisers are really meant just what the name implies, to cruise. You're just cruising around town, cruising out in the country roads. You know, you're not really looking for some excitement on the twisties, although some people have fun on the twisties on their cruisers. But you're gonna, in my opinion, super sports are gonna be, you know, or some type of sport bike is gonna be it's going to be more fun on the twisties. But a lot of people argue against that. But I don't know. It's up to you. Like I said, you're going to have to figure out what the best preference is for you. And but personally, my personal opinion is I don't like heavy bikes. I want a light bike. I want a fast bike. I want a bike with relative comfort. And this bike is the most perfect bike for me. As you guys hear this over and over in a lot of my videos, but it is true, because this bike is basically your all-in-one bike. I mean, this bike has the raised clip-ons. Sits about an inch higher than all the other super sports, or at least most super sports, should I say. I know the KTM RC8, I think you can adjust the ergos on that, where you can actually lift the bars up some. But the bike has a comfortable seat. It has a fuel gauge. So I mean, I enjoy cruising on this bike, you know, and I enjoy hitting the twisties. And it's just, like I said, it's an all-in-one bike for me. If I could just have one bike, this is it. But honestly, if I had it my way, I'd have all the different types of bikes, because I love them all. As you guys know, I'm a motorcycle enthusiast, and I just love motorcycles, period. I love trikes as well. Like I said, if I had it my way, I'd have every kind of bike. If I had a garage big enough and an account with enough money to pay for all of them. But yeah, so getting back to now, some of you guys may want to, instead of a cruiser, like I said, which tends to be 100 pounds or more, or definitely a lot heavier than the super sport bikes, you may want to go with a naked bike, you know, like a Triumph S-RRR, or they call them a Stripple. Those bikes, although they're not that pretty, in my opinion, they look like somebody stole the fairings off of them. But everybody else raves about the bike, and they say it's awesome. You get the performance close to the performance of a super sport. I mean, you get a nice low down, good torque on the bottom, on the bottom end RPM on that bike. You get a more upright seating position if that's what you enjoy. And as far as the weight of the bike is not too far off from the Daytona 675R, if not the same, or if not lighter. I don't know the specs on it, but I know it's a fairly light bike. So that may be a bike that's best suited for you. Personally, for me, like I said, I don't like a more upright seating position. And I do enjoy the fairings, because I like the full wind protection that you get from a full fairing bike like this. And this bike is prettier, in my opinion. So, but like I said, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and all that matters at the end of the day is that you're attracted to your bike, you enjoy riding it, and that's it. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter, you know, what anybody else thinks about your motorcycle. You're the one riding it, and really looks doesn't matter once you jump on your bike, you know. It's all about the riding experience that you get. As far as dual sports, you know, a lot of people I see, a lot of people around here starting to ride dual sports. They look like dirt bikes, you know, they're street legal dirt bikes. That's what it looks like. But one thing, the drawback with dual sport, well, first off, let me give you the cons of the super sport. Of the dual sport. First off, the dual sport is you can ride it on the street and you can also ride it on the trails. But it doesn't excel at either one, really. You know, it's okay on the street and it's okay on the trails. So if you do a little bit of both, that'll probably be a good bike for you. But if you like to do long rides, you're not going to, unless you do some modifications to the bike, you're not going to want to ride a dual sport long distance because it's got a hard, narrow seat. You know, it sits higher, it sits up a lot higher than the other street bikes out there. And you don't get the wind protection at all, just like with the naked bikes and the cruisers. So you get a full wind blast, you get an uncomfortable seat, you're high up on your bike, you know, and it's most of the time they're not as fast as street bikes. So you're not really getting all the power, and it really doesn't make sense if you're just going to ride it only on the street. And but if you, like I said, or if you ride just trails only, or you do mostly off-road, you don't want a dual sport. You know, because like I said, it doesn't excel at either one unless you make some modifications to it. Now you can make some modifications to make it more better on the streets, and you know, and all the way around you can, you know, make it better suited for the for off-roading. But you know, I was going to get a dual sport, you know, before. I was trying to figure out what should I get, but I did a lot of research. I went and what did it for me that I didn't like about it is when I went to the dealership and I sat on the bike. The bike sits up really high, and mind you, I'm 6'1" with like close to a 34-inch inseam, with 33-inch inseam, and it was too high for me, man. It was like, I just didn't like the feeling of sitting up that high. You know, I wouldn't mind it if I'm just wanted to do off-road, you know, because dirt bikes sit up high usually, most of the time, and it wouldn't be a big deal. But on the street, I don't like sitting up that high, and the hard, narrow seat, it just wasn't a good, comfortable bike for me. But it may be for you. You know, like I said, you have to find that out for yourself. But I wasn't digging the dual sport for the street. And like I said, you know, if we had more trails around here, but we don't have any that I know of. You know, they're off limits here. And if you get caught riding on a trail here, at least in the metro parks, man, they're gonna hit you up with a heavy fine. They don't play out here. But I know some of you guys get them, and I know there's a couple of motor vloggers that are like vigilantes, and they do a lot of trespassing and shit. But no, man, I don't like those heavy fines, dude. I don't want to be making payments to the city, man. Screw that. You know, just for a little joyride, you know, on some private property or something, or some off-limits property. No thanks, not for me. But yeah. Now, as far as also, I forgot to mention choppers. You know, choppers are really good-looking bikes. And I like them. I think they look really awesome. But from what I hear, I've never ridden a chopper, but from what I hear, they are not great at handling. So if you like hitting the twisties, you're not going to like the chopper, because the chopper's not going to handle the twisties. You know, not even as good as probably a cruiser, or maybe even a touring bike. But they do look hot. I mean, those bikes are basically just meant for just riding in a straight line, cruising around. But yeah, the touring bike. You know, touring bikes, basically the bikes that have the saddlebags in the back. It's great big hulking bike, you know, really super heavy. I don't even know how much it weighs, probably like 500-600 pounds or something. Some big monster of a bike. It's got a stereo system on it. at least some of them, you can put a stereo system on it. It's got the great big windscreen on it. And those bikes really are just meant for long distance touring. And that's not a bike you really want to be commuting on around in the city. And like it says, it's a really heavy bike. The handling is not going to be as it's not going to be as precise as this bike, most definitely. And if you're just starting out and want to get your first motorcycle, definitely you want to stay away from a touring bike, because they're way too heavy, and very cumbersome to handle. And as far as super sport bikes, a super sport bike is not for everybody. Like, a lot of us are attracted to these bikes, because they are good looking, they're very sleek, they're low profile, they're beautiful, they're fast, and they're not that expensive. Like Harleys. There's some Harleys out there, like starting price is like $20,000, These bikes you can pick up, brand new for like what? 10 to 11,000 bucks, depending on what type of bike you get. All super sports are not the same. And a lot of you new riders, a lot of you people out there that want to get a motorcycle for the first time, you guys do not understand, the ergonomics are not the same for all super sport bikes. And a lot of you guys just tend to look at the looks of the bike, and you say, "Ooh, I want that because it looks pretty." Like the R6, I get that a lot. Like people like, "Oh man, I want to get the R6. That's so awesome." And all they're looking at is the looks. They don't realize that, first off, the bike is it's really a street legal track bike. That bike is really meant for the track, period. The bike has low clip-ons. It's got an uncomfortable seat. The suspension is set up for a track, so it's going to have hard suspension. It has weak bottom end power, meaning lowering the RPMs off the line. I think the quarter mile time they just did recently on was 11.24, compared to, say, the 2013 ZX6R, which ran a 10.71, I believe, in the quarter mile. So actually the R6 is the slowest bike off the line out of all the super sports. But you can make some modifications to the bike to make it more comfortable and better suited for the street. You can change the sprocket up. You can put a juice box on it. You can make some changes, some modifications to it, make it a little quicker off the line. Damn, baby. Yeah, you can make some. You can put a softer seat on there. You can, put some heli bars, raise the bars up. But then when you start messing with that, man, you start. I don't know anybody really that has tried to make a R6 a little more comfortable. I don't know how it would. Maybe I'm sure you can, but most people you just ride them around in stock form. But like I said, in stock form, the bike it's not that great for the streets. And a lot of people don't realize that until they get the bike, And like I said, looks don't mean shit once you jump on your bike and start riding. I mean, looks is not going to keep you comfortable riding on the streets. So, but yeah, if you want a bike, super sport bike, and you want to have decent comfort on the streets, you want your basic all-in-one bike that you're fairly comfortable on the bike, and it's quick. This is your bike right here, man. This is it. And it handles great. It's light. The 2008, 2007 or newer Honda CBR 600RR, especially the 2007, 2008 Honda CBR 600RR. It's got a comfortable seat. It's got clip-ons that are about an inch higher than all the other super sports, so you never have any wrist problems, no hand problems. You've got suspension is set up perfectly for the street. The bike is quick off the line. It's got great linear power through the power band. It does 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. It does this had 2008 did the quarter mile in 10.52 seconds. I mean, this is your best all-around bike for the streets. And that's why I tell people, and it's well known, CBRs are well known for being comfortable, the most comfortable super sport for the streets, period. And the Fireblade, the same. The Fireblade has similar ergonomics as well. It has the raised clip-ons. It's got a soft, I think it has about the same seat. I think it's just as comfortable, at least the one I sat on at the dealership, the 2013 CBR 1000 RR. It felt basically just as comfortable as this 2008 CBR 600 RR. The only thing is that the Fireblade lacks a fuel gauge, which I really enjoy the fuel gauge. I like to know exactly about how much gas I have, but some people that doesn't matter, you know. Like I said, it's all about preference. It's whatever is best for you. You know, whatever you want. You know what? Like I said, this bike is, you're waking up and looking at this bike in your garage or your apartment parking space, and if it's the most beautiful bike in your eyes, and you love riding, that's all that matters, baby. That's it. That's all that matters, man. You know. And so that's really, yeah. So that's about it, guys. That's all I really have for you. So it's all about whatever bike you want, man. Let me put the highs back on. Maybe that'll light up the video a little better. But yeah, at the end of the day, do what the fuck you want to do. Like the Hodge twins say. It's all about your preference, baby. You got to figure it out for yourself. Cyclecruza can help you with that. You know, I can give you some basic information on the different types of bikes, you know, and the super sports out there. But at the end of the day, you got to know what your preferences are. So, hey, guys, until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Peace, and stay safe out on the streets. Catch you guys later. If you get a chance, visit my website at cyclecruza.com and check out the new forum I just added to my website and join in on the discussion. Also, like my Facebook page over at facebook.com/Cyclecruza1.